can't be brave without fear. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Athlete Podcast sponsored by Sports for Champions. Today I'm delighted to be joined by professional boxer Chloe Watson. How are you today, Chloe?
I'm great, thank you. All the better for coming down and seeing everyone.
Really great to have you on board. We always like to start these podcasts at the very beginning. How did you first start getting into fighting?
So this is a fun story. I always enjoy telling it. But
so sorry, can I stop here? I'm going to move that slightly here.
So I started off by fighting with my twin brother Curtis. We were just always fighting with each other, and then it wasn't until my mum and my dad kind of said to, I had the conversation between themselves about Curtis going to a boxing or kickboxing class, and he went on himself. He didn't think to ask me. I think they just thought like maybe it's not something that I'd be into, being the girl. But then Curtis came back and he said that I'd love it, and so the next time when my dad come to the house to pick him up and take him to the gym, I just rocked up with him. I was like, Dad, can I go? My dad was a bit confused at first, like, what, you want to go to the gym? Honestly, I don't think like they even thought about asking me, which is so crazy because like look at where I am now. And when I think back to when I was younger, like it was so clear to see that I really did just enjoy fighting, obviously not in too much of an aggressive way, but I don't know, I just always loved it. It started off fighting with my twin brother, and then we went to kickboxing, and then eventually went to boxing at 8 years of age.
There you go. Were you always sporty?
Always sporty, but I think like just being a twin with a boy kind of brought that out of me, because he was like my little best mate, so I'd always just do what he was doing really. And like I'd always, because I look at my mum, and my mum was quite obviously caring, I did take on like that female role of like, oh, this is my brother, I need to look after him, I need to care for him. So I'd kind of follow him because I enjoyed what he was doing, but also I'd follow him to make sure he was always okay. And that was just another thing that like I just picked up like from my mum. But so it initially started with that, and then I just kind of done the football with him, done the boxing, and went to the youth clubs with him and all that kind of thing. And then eventually he got sick of me, and we actually did end up going to different high schools. So I went to an all-girls high school, Weatherhead High School, and he went to Park High.
Wow. Were you playing sport in school?
Yeah, always. PE was one of my favourite lessons.
What kind of things?
Anything that got me out of class. I did love football. Obviously there wasn't any boxing classes in school, so that was kind of not a go. But just anything that got me out of the class. Football, badminton, netball was like a big thing in our school. But
yeah, anything and everything.
Basically.
Obviously you were dead young, but do you remember what the attitude was to a girl coming into the gym? Were there many girls in the gym, or were you one of the few?
To begin with, I didn't really like notice I was the only girl in the gym, just because like I said, I was kind of used to following my brother around and doing what he was doing anyway. But then it wasn't when I started trying to like push for fights, so I started to see that everyone that I was training with was like getting competitive fights, and I was like, oh, I want to do that. So I asked like when I'd next be out, like when I'd get that opportunity to fight. It was just kind of put to me that there isn't many other female boxers, especially around my weight, that female boxers isn't really a thing, and that confused me because I never really thought that deep into it. I just knew that I didn't just go just to enjoy it. Like I knew I enjoyed it, but I also I'm such a competitive person, so I think that goes hand in hand with like the sports and like with my brother, like everything that we've kind of done together. It just kind of brought that competitiveness out of me, which is why I enjoyed PE so much. And like anything, it wasn't necessarily just the sport, it was just having that competitive competition. So I was a bit shocked because I just never realised. But then obviously that all changed in the 2012 Olympics.
Just to take you back a little bit, obviously at 8 years old, and you were already wanting to fight. Did you take quickly to the sort of skill set of boxing itself?
With what I can remember, yeah. Obviously being 8, I was quite young. We did start kickboxing, and I remember like people were on my dad like, oh, she's like so good. like, I think they do like interclubs or something, I'm not sure what it's called, but they were trying to get me to like go to a few of them, and I never ended up going to any of them. But like, yeah, I'm guessing I
must have been.
Yeah. Obviously, as I've got older and I've started to know like what's good and what's bad, and you know, like kind of see like what my strengths are and things like that. It's a lot easier to like recognise. But when I was younger, like I said, I was just simply doing it because I enjoyed it and I liked hitting people.
Makes sense. So we touched on it there. London 2012. Obviously, it was huge for so many sports across the UK. What would you say it did for boxing? Obviously, you were so young at the time, but the legacy is kind of still ongoing now, really.
Yeah, definitely. There was a lot of people watching the 2012 Olympics and just inspired, and I think it's the reason why like female boxing is where it is today, because you know, you're starting to see all them people who were watching and was inspired, me being one of them, you know, kind of come into their own now, and you know, we're looking to inspire others while doing so, but we're also got so many goals, and you know, there's so many more opportunities now, like doors just keep opening, and I'm so excited to be, you know, where I am at this time, because it just keeps getting bigger and better.
Yeah, it's going from strength to strength at the moment.
Exactly.
So not long after London 2012, you did get your first fight. Do you remember that?
Yeah. There was a skills bout to begin with, and I was a bit upset that it was a skills bout, because basically so what happens with a skills bout, there's no winner or loser. Mm-hmm. So I was just a bit like, oh, but it's a skills bout, it's not a real fight. But that's why I had 3 of them, and then eventually went on to my first proper fight, which was a Kirby in Liverpool. And I remember like, so I'd just finished school, it was on a Friday, and there was like 10 minutes between each bus, and I was like running down the street because I wanted to catch the early bus, because I just wanted to get home and get ready for my fight. But yeah, I was so excited, and I was that excited that actually before the first bell went, we'd already like nearly started hitting each other. So like we'd got into the ring, and the referee is obviously just like, you know, making sure everything's okay, and I'm just like, look at my coach, and then I just start like sprinting to this person like in the ring. It's actually on video, so that's why I remember it so well. But yeah, no, I love that fight, and I think like that was like the first fight where I thought, oh, this is for me, I won it. And I just didn't stop throwing punches, because I was just like, oh, this is my time to shine. Because not only was it like, obviously, I know there was so much success with the 2012 Olympics, but I was also proven to, you know, like my coaches, like everyone watching, that like females can do this, which always gave me that like extra push to perform well and work hard. And these are all things that I've carried on with me like throughout life, inside the ring, outside the ring. And yeah, so I've learned a lot of things from boxing, and that first fight was definitely a massive stepping stone, and I loved every minute of it.
Did you really kick into gear from that fight? Was that like, okay, I'm really going to do this now?
I'd say I always had that in me from like the first time I went into a boxing gym. Wow. Like, which is just so crazy. It's only now when I look back and I'm like, wow, like the second I went in there, I was like, this is what I want to do. And like, it's only now I'm older, I'm looking back, I'm like, that is like, I wouldn't look at an 8-year-old and think and give them that much credit that they could kind of, I don't know, like know that this is what they want to do. Do you know what I mean? So much can change, but like, it's like as soon as I went into a boxing gym, I just like committed to it, and was like, and then even when I got told that like female boxing isn't really a thing, I was like, but it is. It's like I always knew that like it will be, like, and you know, it's done me well so far, so good. But yeah, there's still a good bit to go.
Yeah, loads to go, I'm sure. So 3 years after your first sort of real fight, you're 15 years old, competing in the Youth Commonwealth Games.
No, so 15, I had my first fight for England
in Serbia. Okay, right. How did that go?
Good, yeah. So we flew out. So obviously I never been used to kind of being like away from home. We had like a couple of camps up in Sheffield with like Team England a few weeks prior, and then when we got out there, it was interesting, it was good, it was strange, but it was exciting, it was all new. So like we were a team, but there was only a small team because England boxing didn't have like enough funding to take out a really big team. Even like the tracksuits and stuff, like if you look at the England boxing setup now, especially for the females, they get just as much care as the guys.
Oh, that's good.
Where then if I get photos up and stuff, I can show you. But like, I remember I had like this really big Team England jacket, like it was so big on me, it was swimming. I had these massive pants, but I didn't care. I was just buzzing because I was wearing the England tracksuit. I was like, yes, I honest to God, I would have wore that tracksuit every single day if I could. I'm pretty sure it still doesn't fit me now. That's how big it was. But so it's good to see how far, you know, like England boxing's kind of grew, like with the females as well. And that wasn't that long ago. You know, like there must have been a couple of years in between, and I got to experience, you know, I wouldn't say bad, but like that part of it, and I also got to experience a couple of years later as we were starting to get the funding, and we were starting to, you know, like get the benefits of being on Team England, and, you know, all the female boxing, the growth of it all. So I feel like it was at a really good time. But going back to my first fight for England, so yeah, so I was boxing like different countries. Never done that before. My dad, my amateur coach, actually flew out to see me, and from my first competition I come away with a bronze medal.
Awesome.
So yeah.
When you fight in different countries, are you seeing different styles that you've never really encountered?
Yeah.
What kind
So
of things?
actually my first fight with England, there was a lot of holding. So I was boxing a Bulgarian, and she was just holding me and like throwing me I think at one point she even flung me to the floor, and I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, you can do that? And yeah, she kind of like got away with it because she was a bit more stronger than me at the time, and also I wasn't like never used to it. I'd never like practiced kind of like holding on to anyone.
Yeah.
Where she was very good at like kind of as soon as we got close, she'd just hold me and then be like, oh, throw me in.
Smothering the fight.
Which I was not used to. So yeah, and there's definitely different styles. I feel like you see that, you know, when you do like watch the Olympics and stuff and the Commonwealth Games, or even when you're watching professional boxing and you're seeing like, you know, people coming from like Russia,
Mexicans and stuff.
Mexicans, yeah, you've got all sorts.
Is that something you take back into the gym? Do you then go and say, well, obviously you don't want to fight like that all the time, but maybe that holding tactic, perhaps that's...
Yeah, no, we did.
Yeah,
we did, definitely, because we knew that like at some point we're going to come up against it again, or we're going to come up against like, you know, the same thing. And obviously in that fight the referee wasn't necessarily saying break, so it was like, well, they're not saying break, you don't break, but you need to learn how to do it, and you need to learn how to do it better. So that's what we did.
Amazing. And then when did the call for the Youth Commonwealth Games come about?
Yeah, so that was when I was 17.
So
yeah, I'd just won the national championships.
Wow, what was that like?
Great, yeah.
So that was it a big step up for what you'd sort of experienced?
So it was my
previously?
first year youth, and yeah, it was in Rotherham, if I remember correctly, and yes, we won the national championships, and with that I was already going to like, you know, any England camps that was on up in Sheffield, and then also I got onto a GB assessment.
Right.
I passed that, so then I boxed for GB.
What's a GB assessment look like?
So at the time, so what they were doing is they were doing like a WPD, so it's like a women's development program, WDP. So they were bringing people in, so people like myself who'd like, you know, had a successful like career up until now, quite young, to kind of progress them so that when they're old enough to box a GB, you know, they've already worked with them quite closely, they know like where they are, and yeah, just create that relationship really. So I went up there for the assessment to do the WDP, PD, women's
WDP.
Yeah. And then from that they actually took me on as a GB boxer part-time. Right. So I passed the women's development program. Yeah. And they took me on that, and at the time I was only 17, so I couldn't actually go out properly and compete for them as a elite boxer, because I was still a youth. But I was still going up there, you know, every week and training with them and training with the whole GB team, which was
why do you think
a massive
they did that?
Success.
Obviously, because they saw something in you, but what do you think it is that they saw?
Yeah, I think, you know, they just obviously like what they seen. I was doing well with my sparring. I was sparring a lot of the GB boxers up there, and I was holding my own.
Is that what you do for the assessment then? You do sparring and like some drills and stuff?
So obviously they'll manage it the way they want to manage it. If they see some girls and they see them spar each other and they think that they can push them on to spar one of their girls that they've got up there, just to see exactly, you know, what's deep for them. Do you know what I mean? What's the deep end for them? Yeah. Then they'll do that, and obviously that's what they did with me, and you know that was great to be boxing for GB from 17. You know, getting up there with the best of the best.
So
and I came on like leaps and bounds. So then from then, we went to the Youth Commonwealth Games.
How was that? Obviously the Youth Commonwealth Games is huge. Some of Britain's best sports stars have that's almost like a proving ground for a lot of athletes. How was that experience?
It was amazing. I loved every minute of it. So 2 weeks beforehand we went to Miami for training camp.
Not bad.
Not bad at all. And do you know what? So with boxing, like when you do go away and compete in competitions, like every time I was in school, everyone was like, oh my god, are you going away again? And I just think like it's not a big deal, it's not a holiday. Like you're literally just in a hotel room and you're in like the boxing hall. Like I don't go out, I don't sunbathe, do you know what I mean? I don't explore. And also it's always in like not the best places there. But however, the Commonwealth Games, it just ticked all the boxes. Like it was unreal. Like the place that we were at, we had a good balance of, you know, exploring and seeing new things, and you know.
Where was it?
So we went to the Miami for training camp 2 weeks, and then Bahamas.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I'm really not complaining. So that was like,
that's amazing.
It doesn't get any better than that when it comes to the trips with boxing. And then to top it all off, we won gold as well. So
doesn't get any better than
a
that.
very good trip.
What would you say was obviously getting to this level, it seems like every time you've been sort of faced with a challenge, you've kind of stepped right over it and just moved right on to the next level. What would you say was the steepest learning curve up to then?
The steepest learning curve? It had to be like, you know, the obstacles that we did have to get over, like being the only female in the gym. But also, yeah, it's an obstacle, but it's also something that's made me the person that I am, because, you know, without that, I got that extra boost of the motivation to, you know, keep pushing, keep doing it, keep working hard, so that when these opportunities did come, I feel like it was the reason why I gave that extra 2%, do you know what I mean, that some people can be missing, because it was like, well, no, I've experienced that, and even though it wasn't as bad as it was 10 years beforehand or even 3 years beforehand, I've still experienced it in my own way, so that when these opportunities come in, I'm going to make sure I'm putting 100% into it. And it's still the same now, you know, there's lots of opportunities right now, but I'm still remembering that, you know, 8-year-old who walked into a boxing gym, and the 11-year-old that really just wanted to fight but couldn't get any fights. You know, I've still got that with me, so that when anything that's coming up now, I'm making sure I'm putting 100% into it.
That makes total sense. So you're with GB till 19, is that right? Is there any other sort of notable achievements in that time?
Yeah, just loads more fights, loads more experiences, got a few lessons and some medals.
Brilliant. I guess there's nothing really that could set you up better for the pros than that sort of amateur career.
Exactly, yeah. Before turning over as well, I went to Australia for 10 months. We've done a little bit of training out there, a bit of travelling, and it was out there that I actually, you know, kind of thought to myself, you know, I want to turn over pro.
Right. Is it a big decision to go pro? Because a lot of amateurs kind of put it off, or maybe they'll wait for an Olympics or things like that. I know it's quite a big decision in your career.
I think so, yeah. Obviously, at this time, I'm 21, you know, I am quite young, but the opportunities for females at this time, so during COVID, it was obviously a bit of a crazy time, but female boxing in the professional game, like, really, you know, started to go strong, and it was in the public eye, and, you know, it was good. So, you know, I was looking at all these fights that was happening, because amateurs couldn't actually train at this time, but pros could. So it was when I came back and I was like, wait, I can't train if I'm an amateur, but I can train if I'm a pro. Okay, and I was already in a headspace anyway of, you know, kind of not knowing what to do. And then from there we made the decision to turn over.
Yeah, it almost made the decision for you, I guess, really.
Exactly, yeah.
So when you turn pro, obviously it sounds like you've never struggled for motivation, but does something change? Is there like a switch that goes and you think, right, I'm really sort of taking this up a level, or is it more of the same?
No, yeah, definitely. Just because, you know, it's me. It's up to me to achieve what I want to achieve. It's up to me to work hard and, you know, make decisions in order for me to, you know, reach my goals. You really start to take on that responsibility. Obviously, I'm getting older. I'm getting wiser with each decision, with each path I'm going down. So yeah, definitely.
And what changed in terms of your approach to training, or maybe even your approach to actually fighting?
So like when people are turning over from amateur to professional, they normally tend to want to work to like slow things down, punch harder, and yeah, that's the main thing really, just like slowing things down and just picking shots, because when you're an amateur, you're boxing, you're only boxing 3 rounds, so it's like pretty fast paced. And then when you turn over, for a title fight, you're going to be boxing 10 rounds. It's different with the girls and the guys, but at the moment, so it's 10 rounds. So then in that time, you know, you want to really be like, you know, pushing your opponent back, slowing down, landing some good shots, not just in and out. But that's what most boxers will do when they're looking to turn over.
How would you describe your fight style?
My fight style? I'm very like zoned in when I'm fighting. Like I like to be like in the zone, fast. I've got good feet. And then like I said, we're just working on just them little things, picking the shots.
Obviously that will have improved over time, but has it changed, if that makes sense?
What do you mean?
Like, have you become more offensive as you've got older, or have you maybe even become a bit more defensive, maybe become a little bit clever in terms of not taking as many shots, that
No,
kind
definitely,
of thing?
yeah, we're always working on things, like there's always something that I'm working on, and with each fight, this is why I'm so excited, with everything, just because with each fight, you know, I do feel like we're taking the steps in the right direction, we're getting better at everything. Obviously people don't see the work that's going on in the gym, but for me, if I'm doing, you know, 60%, or like 60-70% of what we've been working on in the gym, you know, then I'm ticking them boxes each time. And that's what we've been doing with each fight, you know, we're getting better with each fight, and the stuff that we're working on, it's showing more and more and more. So then when I do come to that level of, you know, and I'm fighting for a world title, this is when it'll all come into play.
Yeah, they kind of build up, don't they, step by step. You know, when you first started, so your first pro fight, would you say, did you have like pre-fight butterflies? Did it weigh heavily on you, the fact that it was your first pro fight, or just excited?
I was just so excited to get in there, but of course I get nervous. Everyone, I mean, you need your nerves, like, and boxing's such a big part of my life that, like, if I didn't get nervous, then it would be so crazy, like, it wouldn't make sense. But yeah, like, I think when I was younger as well, I always tried to explain this to my friends, because it's like it's your birthday on the day that you're fighting, but like you've got all these emotions, you've got nerves, you've got excitement, you've got like your confidence, but then like you just got so much going on, it's just hard to explain, and you don't ever get like a day where you're feeling all them emotions until you fight. And I love feeling the emotions of fight day. Just because there's so much in there, and yeah, like I said, like I just feel like you need them for like the fire to like really get out and do what you've got to do.
So 5 fights in, when's your next fight?
My next fight is the 24th of June.
Wow, that's
in
brilliant.
Newcastle.
In Newcastle, have you got an opponent?
So yeah, we're just looking on like sorting that out.
So obviously you're 5 fights in, you've won every fight so far. How has your motivation changed as you sort of progress through more and more fights in the pro ranks?
It just stays the same. It's pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but sorry, I mean in terms of like, so when you first come in, obviously you're hungry to prove yourself and things like that. Like, how does that sort of evolve?
You know, I think if you're in a sport, you want to be the best at it. You know, again, it comes back to the competitiveness.
Yeah.
And you know, that's what we're working hard to achieve. You know, obviously we want to become world champion, but we also want to know like we're the best.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing it for. And if we can inspire others to do what they want to do, what they love, and you know, become the best at what they do, then great.
What does the training regime look like at the moment?
So I'm based up in Manchester now. We train every day other than Sunday. Sunday's my rest day. So we'll have boxing Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning. There'll be like pretty hard sessions in the evening. It'll be a run. And then Tuesday, Thursday will be S&C with intervals. And then Saturday will be hill sprints.
Hill sprints? That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
is that something that you dread, or is that like almost just something a bit different from the gym?
There's a lot of stuff in training that you do dread. The thing that I love the most, well, I dread the least, is sparring, just because that's what I love. But there's a lot of stuff that come with it, you know, that you've got to do. Because you just got to. There's no way around it. Yeah. So yeah. What
about diet?
Yeah, obviously that's not fun for anyone, but at the same time, it gives you that little bit extra. Yeah.
Are you a good cook? Do you take control of that yourself?
I'm getting better.
Yeah.
I am getting better. Yeah.
I did a few
dishes.
I
see a nutritionalist. So he tells me like what to eat. Obviously, I buy it and cook it. And we go from there. But yeah, my cooking skills are getting there slowly but surely.
Nice. Do you think that? Do you feel like you've sacrificed a lot? I mean, obviously, you're training 6 times a week. You're not leaving a lot of time for seeing friends and family. I imagine that you're missing sort of weddings, christenings, all them things don't stop, do they? But I guess you can't really deviate, can you, from the program?
No, and I think because I've done it from such a young age, that like it's okay. Like other people don't expect me, like if I'm like, oh, I can't come to your birthday party, like I'm in the gym, it's like okay. Or even like before they ask me, they kind of like, Chloe might not be able to come because we know she's fighting in like 3 weeks time. So that makes it a little bit easier, because it's not like I've went from this person who's everywhere, anywhere and everywhere, to oh wait, there I'm just focusing on me. I've always just kind of been like, my priorities have always been like boxing. And like everyone around me like knows it and like loves it, so they're kind of like, they're really supportive, so I don't have to like really explain why I can't do things. It's just kind of who I am at the moment.
Who's your biggest inspiration?
My biggest inspiration, Katie Taylor. Yeah, amazing. She's just done so much for the sport. She's actually boxing this weekend, so I'm looking forward to that.
Very exciting. It's a Dublin homecoming, so that should be
Exactly.
interesting. If you could have one dream fight with anybody, who would it be?
One dream fight with anyone, who would it be? Who would my dream fight be? Muhammad Ali, just because, why not?
Because you get to meet him then, I suppose.
Yeah. Just that I might just have to like jump to actually hit him in the face, because he's going to be way taller than me.
What would you like to be remembered for at the end of your career?
Just doing what I love, and you know, just going for what I want to go for, you know, following my heart.
Brilliant. And finally, just to wrap things up, if you had one piece of advice for somebody, a young person looking to start a career in sport, what would it be? If
you love it, do it. Yeah. If it makes you nervous, it's probably worth it.
I think that's really good. That's a brilliant note to end it on. Thank you very much for joining us today, Chloe.
Great, thanks for having me.
You're more than welcome. And thank you for everyone at home watching. We'll see you next time.